Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jason, the creator of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2, and I'm here with another update for the launcher. So this launcher that's going to be a big part of the Unofficial Dev Tools it's well on its way. I've got a lot of new features that I'm wrapping into this launcher, and this launcher is going to actually go out for all 7 games that I'm supporting here with the upcoming release of the Unofficial Dev Tools and the upcoming release of the Beast here, hopefully not too long. And so let me show you guys some of the new settings and tools that I've added to this launcher. It is not public release yet, but I just wanted to give you guys kind of a status update of how things are going, what I've discovered, some crazy new things that I've been able to pull off in such a short time, and kind of the status after another big update on the Dying Light 2 game and how that process went, doing the update and kind of where the tools are for the Unofficial Dev Tools. So let's go ahead and dive in. So this is the landing page of the new launcher, and it's really meant to immediately tie you in to the culture of all the different games that you've come to love over the years. Love, hate, whatever that relationship is. The goal of this tool is to support all mod developers here in the future across all these different games and establish a pipeline actually between the games and between the communities so that mod developers can start to share common goals and actually create bigger projects inside these games. So let me show you guys one of the easy setups that I've created for adding a new game. So you don't have to own all the different games, but if you do own all of the games like myself, it helps to kind of have a system that carries across all of them. So you can head over to the settings panel, and here you'll have all the different games. So you can kind of scroll down and see which games are available. And unlike the launcher on the current version for the Dying Light 2 launcher, what I've done is actually gone in here and updated the code so that if you select the wrong folder, it's not going to let you verify the game. So essentially it is looking for a very specific exe when you're selecting these different folders. So you can go in here and select the wrong game. You can try different things. It's not going to get the right game until you select that correct folder. So if we go ahead and get our definitive edition of Riptide and hit select folder, it's going to go ahead and verify that you have it installed, and it's going to go ahead and load that data into the game. It's going to go ahead and switch the launcher over to that game as well. And so what you can do here is very quickly switch between the different games. So I wanted to make this as easy as possible so that when you have multiplayer support, that you and your buds, if you want to jump on the weekend, if you want to create multiple different mod packs and different things to play through, you could go through the oldest game all the way up to the newest game and just enjoy yourselves switching between the different mods, trying different things. So let me go ahead and dive into the latest tool that I've written this week. This was kind of crazy. I was basically trying, so for those of you who are new to the project, what I tried to do was basically reverse engineer all 7 games, the Dead Island games, the Dying Light games, and the Bad Blood game as well for Dying Light. That's a recent addition. And what I've done is I basically have written all the code to where all of that is now on the back end of this application. So you don't have to see it, you don't have to deal with it. But what it's going to do is all those mods that were on the Nexus that you constantly enjoyed back in the day, but now they don't work on the latest version, instead of having to manually update those or do anything with those here in the near future, you'll just be able to load them into my application. It's going to do all the heavy lifting for you and actually make it super easy to merge mods, modify mods, and then convert them into this new system so that with every update, with every update that comes out for things like Dying Light 2, for the Beast, any future games, it's going to immediately update that code. I'm working hard to make sure that the auto update feature is working. I'm calling it the auto heal code. So far that's at about 75% for Dying Light 2, a massive amount of scripts inside that game. I have most of those scripts supported at this point. The challenge is now actually going through and verifying that the output of my engine is the exact same as the engine, but with the new modified files. So let me dive into what that looks like with the actual mods. So let's first head over to the mod tools. So I've added a new feature this week called the mod browser. And so what I've done is actually, these are all the mods that are available through the Nexus. I tried to make a very simple, easy to use drop down where you can kind of load up what mods are available and very quickly jump on the website and go check out these mods. So if you want to go see which mods are available, which ones were the most favorite back in the day, you can use the categories to kind of filter down. You can even use the search to kind of find specific things that you're looking for. I really didn't go too far with this system just yet because this system was actually written for the purpose of making the code understand what your mods actually are. So when you're loading these in, I wanted the data to be able to associate the creatives who originally made the mod and then allow you to convert it. But all of this is so that when you're playing multiplayer, you could actually send out, so it's all going to be hooked up to the Discord system. So if you aren't a member of the Discord server, make sure to jump into the I Am Legion Discord server. It's all going to be there to where you can find other people that are playing these games, create mod packs, and jump into each other's games and enjoy the games how you want to play them. But kind of the idea is okay, so we have different mods that are online. Great. Now's the next part. So basically what I've done is that as you add the different games, so as you validate and add those different games, it's actually going to create a new folder called mods. And inside that folder, you can actually just drop your zip files. So if you just want to download different files and put those files into this folder, what it's actually going to do is it's going to use the database of online mods that I've created to go and actually manage that data and make it easy to convert that data into the actual application. The goal of this is to not only make it to where you can easily convert that information into the latest version of the game, but you can also modify it and merge it with other mods. That's one of the biggest things in the community is that people find mods that they really enjoy, but they're like, I love this other mod too, but I can't play it because every time I try to install it, it breaks the other mod. Well, this will hopefully in the future, I'm working really hard to make sure this is as clean as possible. This should allow you to make massive overhauls to the game and quickly choose left, right, which option you want between two different mods so that you can quickly merge those together and make mod packs. So the ultimate goal of this is that I Am Legion is going to get turned into all the various mods that it does. So each version of that game of the mod has gone on to become like 100 mods combined into one massive overhaul. And so I'm working to kind of break that down so that you, the user, can actually go in there and say like, I like what you're doing here, but I don't want the custom weapons. I don't want the custom armor. I just want a more difficult game. Well, this will allow you to do all that without actually all of the technical challenges that come with trying to support that. It's been crazy trying to support the massive volume of players who want the very specific game how they want to play it. I get it, I understand, and that's why I'm writing these tools. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So basically, we've got Dying Light pulled up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and convert the data. So let's grab a new mod really quick. So I've got some that I've got on there. Let's head over to Dying Light and actually grab a new one. We'll sort by the endorsements, do descending, and we'll go ahead and say all categories here. All right. And let's go ahead and change that. There we go. Looks like there's some filter issues there. And so let's say like, okay, we want the Quartermaster Bows mod. So if we click this little button here, it's gonna launch the Nexus. We can go in here and just kind of see what they have available. We're gonna hit manual download. All right, and then up here, we've got our Dying Light folder. Let's go ahead and hit save. And then let's head back to the application, go over to the mod manager and hit refresh. And you can see that Quartermaster Bows is now on the list. And now all we have to do is hit this convert button. And so what that's gonna do is it's gonna use my database to immediately go get those files and read all of those files. So it's gonna create its own little folder here. It's got the extracted files, and it looks like he's got some of these merge things kind of floating around here. And then basically what we're gonna do is go into our converted, and then we're gonna have a couple of things here. So first we have the mod summary. So this is where it's gone through and it's tried to read all the data that's in there. And it's basically trying to classify what is a custom script versus what is a modified script, which can be found inside the pack files. And what I'm trying to do is basically expand this over time. But you see, like, for example, with this right here, this assortment sets, this is actually where they've modified or added a name onto a script that already exists inside the game. So what I've tried to do here is make this really simple to where if you're a mod creator and you want to break your code apart, I get it. It's just a little bit harder to support over time because those scripts have custom fields that you've injected into the code. So the goal that I'm trying to head for is that there's a validation system that I'm writing on the back end here that's actually looking at the structure of each one of these scripts being added to the database. And it's going to actually be able to tell you if there are values that you've added that no longer exist. That's absolutely critical when it comes to the updates and making sure that your custom scripts, where they did work back in a specific version of the game, Techland changed something over the years, and that field that you once added no longer exists, and now the game crashes. So what it's doing is you could actually go in here and reference the original script. So I don't know if the original script here is assorted sets, but I believe it is. So what you could do is just reference that script, and it's going to use the definition file, is what I'm calling it, to go and check that as it installs it and make sure that it's actually got all the fields that it's expecting. I don't have support for things like bin files, but what you can do is basically you don't have to worry about all that, because if it's not supported, all the code basically does is copy it into the zip file automatically. So we've got a couple of scripts here that it is going to update, and it is going to make sure that it's compatible with the latest version of the game. And these other ones, it's basically just going to dump into the pack file when it writes it. So then we can go over here to our scripts. These are the custom scripts that it detected. So it's got those organized, and then we've got our changes. So in here, inside the changes are the actual conversion data. So this is a table that I've created that's inside JSON that basically just goes in there and tells it how to change the files. So as you go through, it actually just has some structure, and it's using this data as like a delta patcher kind of idea of this is the before value, this is the after value, this is how to look it up. And so it's not actually using line comparisons, it's using identifiers and values to actually understand the actual file structure, and it's going through and saying, okay, I need to change this, I need to change this. Does this exist anymore? And that's the most crucial part, is does it exist anymore? Because as your mod progresses through the time, you don't know if that original field that you modified even exists in the latest version. This does all that work for you, and the ultimate goal is when it's released, it'll give you a nice summary of what was injected and what was not, so what got left out. So the goal there is to be able to go and actually say, okay, they must have removed these fields. My mod no longer works as I expected. And instead of having to do anything crazy like open up the scripts, God forbid you have to actually open up the scripts. Instead of that, you could actually just press the edit button here on the script and actually just open the JSON data and make those changes with the information of what the original script was like. So that way you can very easily go and replace those values, hit save, and now your mod's back up and ready to go. So trying to make that whole pipeline of very easy changes, very subtle differences, get back in, enjoy your game. So once you see all these different script changes, you also have the index, which just basically tells it the same thing the summary does, and now we can go ahead and hit install. So we've got our quartermaster bows. Let's go ahead. It looks like it actually didn't update properly when we hit convert there, so it must actually be running into an issue. So on the back end, that's again where I'm having to go through. It's probably due to the amount of all of these different scripts. I haven't actually tried to mess with ones that have the .bin, but more than likely that's actually causing a few different issues. And so an example of what this would normally look like is that for our dynamic weather and extended time cycles, we'll go over here and we'll open that up, and you'll see dynamic weather and extended time cycles. We have our converted data. It's the same thing. We've got our changes here. And then when we go and hit install, so let's go ahead and hit convert again, it runs that conversion, and then we can hit that install button. And what it's doing is it's actually going directly into your DW folder for this game, and it's writing that data. So you don't have to do any heavy lifting. You don't have to do anything. It is now written the latest modern version of these scripts. So it's pulling in all the latest version for the script, and it's injecting those changes as the original mod foresaw. And so the goal here is to make this super easy. You can save it, you're done, and now you can actually go and add other mods. So if you want to go and add advanced moves, which also has an issue where I'm still hooking up the XML conversions and all those different things, but essentially we can go in here. Yeah, different ones have different challenges, and that's again where trying to understand kind of what's out there, how things are set up, so that it's very easy for you to go in here and convert and install these mods. And so some of this stuff on the back end, I'm gonna have to continue to go through and make sure that it's supported, but essentially we just installed 3 out of the 6, so still some work to go, but you can see here that if we open it up and we go through, we now have those files installed, everything's set up and ready to go. So the goal here is to be able to do this, except go to all the different games. So when you have something like Bub's Firearm Mode, and then you have I Am Legion and all these different mods, you can very easily just go, open this up, hit install, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. It installs it immediately into your files. And the biggest part of this is that it keeps it clean and organized. The goal here is to try to avoid having to actually open up any more pack files, having to create multiple pack files, that different layers, you know, this one first, then this one. The goal is here to basically allow this code to run for you, create this data, and update it in the future. So that's another part of where doing the version checks, seeing new mods that are coming out, and then also a big part for the community coming up is the ability to share these mods. So instead of where before you would actually share the hard-coded information, you would actually just be able to go and share the changes. So that actual script changes file that I was showing you with the JSON data, that's the important part. So making sure that the code stays clean and is able to go into any future version should be fairly simple. You just have to kind of double check to make sure that everything is injecting correctly. And then outside of that, everybody should be able to install these mods, share them, and keep them live as long as possible without having to worry about sharing an entire script that has just got 3 or 4 line changes, you know, whatever your mod may be. For some of you, it's as simple as adding an import to the top and a use statement. It really sucks to have to inject or to have to, you know, release the entire inventory script, the entire whatever script just for 2 line changes. And this basically removes the need for doing that. And that's the goal. And I hope to be able to support the community and continue to build these tools out as we go. They're, like I said, 75%. We are about 98% on almost every game except Dying Light 2, which has a massive amount of prefabs and different things that I still have to work on. But for the most part, it's mainly supported by the actual complex regex parsing systems. The next step of this is actually creating the comparison systems, the writer systems, and then the writer systems with injecting these modifications. It does get more complex, but the biggest part of the work is done. Now it's just going in there and fine-tuning this into a well-oiled machine. And so I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It went a little longer than I was expecting, but I wanted to share with you guys because, you know, this is an ongoing project that super passionate about, would love to see this be able to continue on in the community and you guys get super excited about it and use it often. I am working really hard to make sure that the tool stays as small as possible so that with the upcoming release that it's not, you know, a huge amount of data. I was able to reduce it down. So at full capacity, it was about 4.7 gigabytes. I've got it down to around 500, 600 megabytes. And so I'm working really hard to try to compress down and make this as light as possible. The biggest problem that I'm running into currently is that, as some of you may have seen with the install, with the conversions, you know, sometimes with these massive files, I mean, with Bub's files, for example, with his gun mods, this is basically injecting the inventory files, which the inventory files at this point, kudos to Techland for these generated files. These things are absolutely massive, just lines and lines and lines full of code. And basically when it's going through and writing this data, it's having to inject that, compare all the data, and actually figure out where it needs to go. And so I'm still working on, threading and all that is still an ongoing learning experience for me. And figuring out how to make sure that that can happen in the background, how that can make sure that it's happening every time. I Am Legion has thousands of scripts as it currently stands. And so when using these tools as it currently stands, the current version of it, it's going to have to get completely refactored to use this kind of system, so that you're basically not just sitting there waiting for it to do this. And God forbid, with all the updates, it'd be kind of like walk away from your computer for 10 minutes while it processes. So I'm still working through the kinks here and making sure that everything flows efficiently. But super excited to get this tool out to you guys. I was pushing really hard to try to have this out by this week. There was the massive update that came out yesterday. It threw off the timeline. And so I hope you guys are enjoying. I did update I Am Legion, so I hope you guys are enjoying the mod and being patient with me while I am trying to take and get this as far along as possible, so that I can use this to write new cool things for the community. Lots of ideas coming, lots of events, lots of different small tweaks. All of that is going to be completely changed by this type of system. And so I hope you guys continue to support, hang in there, watch for updates. If you're not on the Discord, make sure to jump on the Discord. If you're not on the subscriber list, jump on the subscribers to YouTube. If you're interested in supporting the project, I do have a Patreon, I have a Ko-fi. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have. And I look forward to talking to you guys next time. Happy gaming, and thanks for stopping by.